Hello, this is Carrie B. Dean coming to you again with another episode of A Dullard Speaking. Well, today, what's on my mind is all the podcasts spewing about of MAGA Republicans and the handful of Republicans that aren't really MAGA but voted for Trump anyway, all crying their hearts out about how they didn't vote for what's happening. Well, yeah, you did. Okay. Uh, you didn't know it was going to happen. Well, he was telling you the whole campaign trail that this is what he was going to do. What part of that didn't you get, that it was going to affect your lives? Is what the rest of us in the world are wondering. Why it took you guys so long. But you're saying black people are on the learning curve. Uh, Sorry. You guys are so far below the rest of the world, it's not even funny. Americans, period, white or black, aren't respected anywhere in the world because of the slow curve of learning that we're on. And now we're reverting back to the era that actually build upon the slow curve of learning. Wow. Are we sure it's Donald Trump that we should be thinking about? Hmm. Funny. Funny that indeed. Why should we be thinking of Donald Trump as the slow learner? No, Donald Trump doesn't have to learn anything. Ignorance is and does as ignorant wants to. And he's proving that to the very point. Hatred is born from ignorance. Ignorance is born from not wanting to learn. Therefore, the full circle has come together. Americans were already believing that we weren't getting a full education in the first place. So dismantled the Department of Education because it wasn't serving us any purpose other than to keep us trained, um, as the Chinese has shown, to the government will. It says government of the people for the people, but guess what? Those are just words. Those are just pretty words to con all of us into believing that such a thing exists. Government exists to keep the rich rich and keep the poor poor. That's the only reason for government. Okay? Government is for keeping the honest man honest and the thief a thief. Okay? And you can't find better thieves than what's in the White House today, starting with Donald Trump. They've just taken years. I mean, I've been working since I was, what, not quite 10 years old, because I was working for my father, which my father had already showed me the way of how America does things. Half the time, my father wouldn't pay me. I do a, I do a little 8 or 12 hour work week for him after school, and when it came time for him to pay me, which he was only guaranteeing me $60 for my time, um, he would come up with, well, I took you out to lunch. Oh, well, Then I took you over to this store and I bought you this and I bought you that. So, and hand me 20 bucks. Sometimes he wouldn't hand me anything. So, um, and this is after him knowing he and my mom had been divorced for years um, by this time. And he knew that I was trying to hustle a little extra cash to be able to take my brother and two sisters to a McDonald's meal every now and then, or have that little extra money there in case my mom needed it towards rent or phone bill or electric bill or water bill. So, growing up over the years and following politics not too tightly because it all got boring. I fell out with politics after I supported Mayor Hammer when she was running against the incumbent at the time in San Jose. And the incumbent mayor was just more of the let's keep the status quo than he was in actually getting something done and being progressive. Hammer seemed like she would be a good progressive choice, not because she was a woman, but because she was talking the things that at the time most of our legal business people would consider good business because she was coming from the business sector herself. Um, well, long story short, she gets into office, and the first thing she does is stop the campaign for funding to bring BART through San Jose on down into you know the lower valleys below San Jose, going through Campbell and all those areas. She didn't want to have anything to do with it. She said it'd bring the riffraff from Oakland down into San Jose. Well, after 2 years in office and starting to realize how much money the actual expansion of the light rail system was making, she then went back to the table on rethinking having BART come through San Jose. But it wasn't until after she was kicked out of office and the next mayor came in that it actually started to happen. Um, that was my first lesson in to just because it talks shiny and it looks good and it wears a business suit that can also talk economics doesn't mean it's good for the people. Um, I didn't agree with a lot of her policies that she put in place, and she had actual policies. Um, but in the case of Donald Trump, all he's done is come up with executive orders on policies that are already in place, that portions of it that he didn't like, he had revoked and stripped from the programs. So, any ratified acts or whatever have been reversed or revoked by him. That does not make it a policy that he did new. Just means that he altered an already standing policy that was already in place. And some of those policies were doing the American people good, but no longer will they be doing any good at all, because he's just like he did when he first came in and started stripping healthcare. Remember the mess he made of that? Oh no, he blamed all that on Obama. Obama had been out of office for 2 years. Go figure. That tells you, white people, yes, since you guys put it out there and you have the news pumping that bull crap, white people, wake up. And that includes you black people when I say white people, okay, that voted for Trump. Wake up, because the white cell and the whitewash that you are still feeding into also included anyone, again, that isn't making at least 6 to 7 figures in their income. Okay, anyone below 500K a year, 500K and below, anyone in that range, that includes some of you senators and stuff sitting on the bench there and grinning along with Donald Trump because he's going to protect and take care of you. He's not. And he did point out one bit of fraud that he still hasn't taken care of. The very same squads that were in office when he came into office are still in their seats. Why is that? Oh, because you're just as crooked as he is and you were willing to bend to his will. That's why. Okay? People are starting to see through that now. You guys have worn that theme out. So everything that happens in your office isn't because of DEI hires, is it? Because didn't Trump replace all the DEI hires he thought were ineffective in their roles? Hmm. Makes you wonder, huh? He's still talking DEI hires in the government when he's all but gutted all the offices that were doing the American people some good, if not demolished those offices. And I'm still wondering why governors over cities of diversity haven't stood up yet and said, hey, we just won't send the federal government any more tax dollars from the state side, okay? All monies that come through the state side stay in the state. Federal government, once funded, they need to pilfer among themselves since you're all billionaires and keep the federal government going. American tax dollars that were going towards their health care and other things needs to stay in the states and needs to go back to the states. Federal government shouldn't have had a hand in that in the first place. That's where the feds overstepped their bounds. I knew once they did that, oh yeah, it was going to bring a whole lot of people out, because now you're dealing with getting rid of people's support for veterans, getting rid of all the charities and stuff people support for child care in hospital care, okay, nutritional care, um, families that are below 40K a year will no longer be receiving food stamps. Well, guess what? Now you just cut out over half of America, white or black, because you got families that the households making that 120 to 250, maybe 300K a year, that are now, because of your recessive tariffs, they can't make it unless they go on welfare. But guess what? They'll get welfare before a poor person would. So when you start cutting out welfare, who are you really cutting out? Didn't think about that. I know you didn't. Your whole administration is nothing but a joke on the American people, a revenge joke at that. And I say more power to you, man, because you pulled it off. Who else pulled off a joke like that? Oh, yeah, that's right. When the devil convinced the world that there was no such thing as a devil. Well, guess what? You've convinced the world there's no such thing as white supremacy, and now it's backlashing on you because you forgot. That was the strong point of your campaign, was for the brotherhood. Guess what? Your people weren't feeling any brotherhood when everything you're doing is cutting them out of their money. I would be very worried if I were you. Oh, or what? You're going to unleash the military on your own people? Which you would, because anybody that's not down with you, you want dead anyway. Oh, I forgot. In my case, you just deport me. Deport me to where? I was born and raised here. Hmm. Yeah, that's right. Just like some of the people that Venezuelans and others that you've deported. Almost half of those people can't even speak Spanish. That's the sad part. That's the sad part. Um, and you don't care where you're deporting them. You're just deporting them. So to say you care about the American people, you don't care about the American people. Keep pushing your tariffs. Guess what? Soon those countries that said they would give eggs to America won't be giving eggs to America after they see how you're playing to Putin's game. Oh, yeah. You just sneak under the wire that um, if we stop supporting Ukraine on the Black Sea, then Putin will not enter the Black Sea to attack Ukraine until he does. Then you'll say Ukraine provoked it. Yeah, I see where you're going with that. Still trying to push the narrative that the Ukraine provoked Russia into attacking it because Ukraine refused to allow him, Putin, that is, to declare them as an annexed part of Russia. Okay, so what will you do when Russia declares America as an annexed part of Russia now that you're in office? Oh, nothing, because you think he's a really fine and he's a really great man and he'll make a really great leader? Hmm. Good question, huh? All I can say to all you folks that are crying now about how you wish you hadn't a vote for Trump is to tell you, learn to speak Russian very quickly. And for those black folks that voted for Trump, it don't matter whether you learn Russian or not. You're not going to get treated any better than you have been getting treated in the first place. So, suck it up, Buttercup. Just remember, comrades, we're all comrades now. It's not just comrade Kamala. Kamala is not the only comrade. We're all comrades now. Yeah, that's about all I had to say. Short, sweet, and simple. Um, like I said, I'll give it to the end of April, maybe early June to mid June, and we'll start hearing more about the concessions that America's willing to give up to Putin to end the Ukraine war. Um, so for all you people that are out here yik yakking about the between blacks and whites and this, that, and the other, shut the hell up because you're totally not focusing on what you should be focusing on. It's what this idiot is doing to the whole of the country with all his tariffs and all his agenda to push for war, thinking that that's going to save him after his what was his running points? Oh, he's not a warmonger. He's not going to push for war. But yet here we are. We're already at war with our neighbors, no doubt. He's going to say the wrong thing or edge the wrong way, and he's going to have about 4 or 5, 6 different countries coming after us at once. What's our little pitiful military going to do now that you don't want trans and women and blacks in the military? What's your little pitiful handful of strong white men only going to do? Probably the same thing you're going to do. Try to hide behind the skirts of black women. Oh, have a good day and a good, happy rest of your evening. This is Carrie B. Dean signing off for a Dullard speaking.